Hiya, folks! Thank you for joining us on another episode of Magic Key Chats podcast. To all who come to these happy chats, welcome. I'm your host, Ryan,
And I'm Amanda.
and today we're going to get into it about Disney shows.
Call it entertainment. Disney entertainment.
Entertainment? Entertainment.
On the app, it says entertainment.
Entertainment. They're not shows, they're entertainment.
Shows makes it sound cheesy. It sounds cheesy when you say shows.
True. I understand that. I can get that. Yes, because as we talked about previously, it is a production. So it's not just a show. This is your entertainment during the production that is going to a Disney park. I know this is something you would love to talk about because I know you love watching parades, you love the fireworks and all that. So why don't we get started off with what is it about Disney entertainment that you love so much?
It's part of the experience. It goes back to like attention to detail and theming. I'm an entertainment person. Like I clearly don't have any problem in front of a camera or a microphone or a stage. I like to perform, but I've always loved the world of entertainment, everything about it, and the concept of like being in the parks is also part of that. And like, I don't want to be cheesy, but like, who doesn't love to be entertained? It's part of the whole experience. Some people, not all people, but some people think of Disneyland as an amusement park or like a theme park, and when you think of things in that realm, then what you're thinking about is like rides. And so people are like, oh yeah, the rides. And I'm like, I go to Disneyland and I don't go on any rides sometimes because it's about just the whole experience. The rides are great too, but having that whole experience and the entertainment, I think, adds to that. And it's another way that like they're incorporating the magic. You're in a different place, right? Like you're walking along Main Street and the Dapper Dans are singing away, and it's just like it's so great. And the marching band, and those are also things I enjoy. Like I enjoy seeing live performances. So part of it is like my general like for those things. The parades, I'm not necessarily a parade person. I enjoy the parades because I'm just in there like, oh my gosh, the way they synchronize the music with that section of the parade. And if you walked like 100 feet to your left, you would hear completely different music. And just like the dancers are synchronized and like the attention to detail on some of these floats. Again, it's about that like creative process. That's what I love about the parades, at least. But all the other entertainment, I think it's so clever, creative, crafty, themed, appropriate. The two I really love are I love getting a chance to see the Dapper Dans, and I love anytime I get to see the marching band because just those medleys and it's like the music and it's just and they're all in formation and like who doesn't love a good marching band, and it's so just part of being immersed in the theme of the parks. And in different areas too, they have like different types of like smaller bands, like the Pearl Band. But I think that's what they're called. They're usually in Fantasyland. But anyway, regardless, like during Christmas, like they'll have like there's just like different little things, and you're just in that section, and this sounds cheesy. So like I love going to New York City, and I love going to Central Park, and I love like street performers. And I love like like sometimes I'm even on the subway or like I'm walking in Central Park and there's like people just doing different like street performers or playing an instrument, and it's just this culmination of humanity to me, and like people sharing their gifts and their talents, and you get a little feel and taste of that with like people just performing in Disneyland and like being part of it, and it's just I don't know, I think it's so great.
So I'm going to stem off of something that you said because I know you went to Disney World the first time. You said when you were like in 21 in your early 20s. So my memories of Disney growing up as a kid, it wasn't the time I went on this ride. It wasn't the time I got this food or that food. It was the thing that like really resonates in my head from my childhood memories of going to Disney was the show I saw. It adds that extra little bit of wow factor for you, your child, that is what kind of sits with you for the rest of your life as your Disney core memory, if you will. Like my favorite parade out there is Electric Light Parade because it was my favorite time to go like at the end of the night, and then you go on Main Street and you see, at the time, high tech, like all these lights and on these floats and like in the way the park interacts with it too. So the fact that, they have all these amazing rides, they have all this amazing stuff around there, but for years of going to Disney, like some of my greatest memories of going to those parks are seeing the entertainment that they had there. And the Fantasmics, the fireworks shows, the stuff that really tear jerks you and brings a tear to your eye. Even more recently for me, first time I ever saw World of Color.
Oh, yeah.
Heard about it, I was like, it's just a water show, like kind of like from what I was previously told about. It was kind of like the similar projections of Fantasmic over at the Disneyland side. I'm like, oh, it's just water show projection. Boy, was I wrong. That is out of, in my opinion at least, in any of the Disney parks I've gone, Disney World, Disneyland, like even with my older, and I saw it with my older brother for the first time. That show absolutely took the wow factor for me. And even as they update it now too, with like the fire, the lights, just the display, the music and everything. That's what Disney entertainment really adds to your park experience is you'll remember the food and all that other stuff. But by the end of that night, the thing you're talking about is that show, the entertainment that really just was like, whoa! Like to this day, still like just the wow factor. That's my thought with even the other entertainment. The Dapper Dans. Oddly enough, I think I pointed this out the other day. Like 33 years on this earth. Last year was the first time I ever saw the Dapper Dans.
I've seen those guys.
Don't know how. Don't know how. 20 plus times ago to Disneyland growing up. Dapper Dance first time, 33 years old. They're fun. Actually, I saw them on the episode of To Be True. I saw them on the episode of Modern Family before I saw them in the park itself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's like I didn't know that was a thing. But even in the other parks too, or just not even just the big, the end of the night shows too. Sometimes like the entertainment you go see during the day, like the Lion King Festival one, little bit underrated in my opinion. I think sometimes those are phenomenal, and those performers put a lot of work into that. And what we saw after 2020, where a lot of those performers lost work. It took a lot of time for a lot of those shows to come back because they had to basically retrain their entire cast. And I love that we're starting to see that back now. I hate to see that Lion King is going away, but I look forward to see what will take its place. It had a long run, had a good run, but yeah, shows add entertainment adds that wow factor to your park experience.
And I say entertaining because, yes, there are a lot of shows that are shows, right? Like The Lion King, and you could say Fantasmic and World of Color, those are shows. But then there's also like parades, entertainment, and like the band and the Dapper Dance. They're not shows, like they're just the entertainment that's happening. And also, that's what's labeled in the app. So just to be clear.
As we've gone over previous, there is lingo for reasons that Disney does everything. So it's not just a show, it's an entertainment. So I stand corrected.
But it is because it encompasses a bunch of different things, right? And so I think because we could dive in and just talk about like the shows that they have, or we can talk about them in general. And I think some of the things will elicit more time than others that need a conversation. But I think what's also cool about all the entertainment they offer, it's like it's not like, oh, if you don't see this, you're missing out necessarily. But I mean, I think you are if you're not. But you can't also see everything all the time in one day and do other things as well, which is why you wanna spread out, like especially if you're going on, like, I know people, it's like, "Oh, well, how many days should I spend at Disney?" I'm like, if you're gonna spend it in Disneyland, like, 2 days is good because you do want an opportunity to go on all the rides and, sit and eat the snacks and rest and stuff, but you also want to enjoy those other aspects of the park, and some people just are not into that stuff, and that's cool. Maybe you don't like parades, and that's cool too, but you really wanna see the Fantasmic show or the fireworks show. I have some friends who are not into fireworks. Weird people, because who doesn't love fireworks except dogs? But let's go. You don't like fireworks? Are you looking at me like that because you don't like fireworks?
No, I love fireworks. I love the fireworks, but my co-star companion here might disagree with you on that one. The beagle's walking around from the standpoint that there are folks, coming from the military community that fireworks can be that's kind of why I was giving you that. So fireworks can be triggering to some folks with that. So understandable from my realm of it.
And also, like, there's stuff for all ages too, because they have like the little they have the theater like in Fantasyland, like on the side of Fantasyland, they have the theater as well, and so they do like Little Tangled show and like Little Beauty and the Beast show, and it's like interactive with the kids sometimes. It's super fun and cute, and there's just all these different things. And there are a bunch of things that I didn't even realize were happening in the park unless you go on the app and then you can see them because they're all
Mhm.
there. So that's the one positive that that's a positive tick mark on the app. It's just it's so fun. So you're saying that World of Color is your favorite show at the Disneyland parks?
I'm gonna say it's my favorite show out of all the parks.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna go that far. It's my favorite out of all the parks. It's been a minute since I've seen a lot of the fireworks at Disneyland. I mean, when it's Halloween season, I gotta see the you know what?
The Halloween fireworks spectacular is the best fireworks spectacular they have. It's the best one. The Halloween one. They're all great. The Halloween one is the best one.
when Zero flying around. Oh, you might have just changed my mind on this one. Come back to me in about 10 minutes. Hold on. Okay. Disneyland fireworks. The Halloween one really is that good.
Oh, like you would pick the Disneyland Halloween fireworks show over World of Color? Is that what you're saying? Because I was just saying it's the best fireworks show out of all.
Mainly because of my love for Zero as a character, as a as a big there's your one dog that loves fireworks shows is Zero. He's partaking in one. It's so like with the big Jack Skellington. No, okay, no. I'm gonna stand by my answer. Best fireworks show though, yeah. For Disneyland, I would say is definitely the Halloween time. I go to Halloween on Halloween every year. I am at that park watching that show specific mainly for that.
I go trick or treating on Halloween, so
My son who does not live with me outside of the summertime, I have no reason to go trick or treating here. So why not?
I don't have children.
You have nieces and like you have family though, right? Wait, you go trick or treating?
I take kids trick or treating, or like I will give out candy.
Oh, you give out. Okay, fair enough.
Or if I'm not taking little ones, I'm giving out candy on Halloween. Not in my neighborhood because we don't really get many trick or treaters. But I'll go to like a friend's neighborhood and I'll give out candy on Halloween because that's what you do on Halloween. You don't go to Disneyland. You go to Disneyland during Halloween season.
I hope my neighbors don't find out that I'm not as much of a Grinch as I might come off in my neighborhood because in my neighborhood, I am the guy who doesn't talk to anybody. But if they find out through this podcast that I am Disney, like being out there, like the kids might actually start come knocking on my door. Although I did decorate for the first time this year, which was all Halloween, Nightmare Before Christmas / Haunted Mansion themed house.
Yeah, you had all the like Disney Halloween stuff.
Fantasmic though.
That's my favorite show. I love World of Color. I love World of Color. Okay, wait. Actually, this is hard now. I just realized I can't say that I have a favorite one. But if it's between World of Color and Fantasmic, I pick Fantasmic. I love a good water show, by the way. Like, I would only go to Vegas just to watch the Bellagio fountains because, again, how someone can synchronize these water fountains to do all these crazy things aligned with music and like again, it's just how it works. It just fascinates me. Like, gets my wheels turning in my mind. So like that's why I love it. And same thing with like World of Color. Be like, "Oh, you should see World of Color." I'm like, I'm gonna go across the street to Disneyland because I don't want to like I want to do a couple things and then I want to get a good spot for the fireworks. So I never used to stick around. And one time I was in California Adventure and it was actually at Lamplight Lounge and I was like on the outside like patio bar area and it was like close to showtime and they were like closing up and she said, "Well, if you order another drink and you sit here and I'm serving you, I can move you to one of the tables over there that actually has like a perfect view of the world of color." And I'm like, "Okay, front row seat." Like, sure. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing." Because it was, like you said, it was like a water show, water light show with like the phantasmic aspect of like the projections, which I thought was so cool. And again, just something that I enjoy in general are water shows. So I will say I probably got very spoiled having my first time be front row, like, no one's obstructing my view, and it was, like, the perfect view of, like, the entire show, and now, like, I don't usually get that lucky, so it's, like, I'm, like, very short as well, so, like, I can't really see much. That's kind of annoying. It's the same problem with Fantasmic too, but I will say I don't know what it is about Fantasmic that I'm, like, if someone's like one or the other that you like they're at the same time, like, what are you gonna go watch? I'm gonna go watch Fantasmic. However, For those who don't know, they have suspended the Fantasmic show for what has it been a year?
Well, yeah, just about now. I think so.
So they had suspended it because the dragon caught on fire.
Big sexy.
And Ryan recently told me that they're bringing it back. And I was like so excited. He goes, "But they're not bringing the dragon back." Ryan, what are your feelings about this?
It will return May 24th.
Fantasmic or the dragon?
No, the Fantasmic. The dragon is, from all I've heard, will cease to exist, will not be recreated, will be no more, which hurts my soul.
That's like official?
Yeah, with where they do the show, because the one in, like, I just recently saw the one. It's the same show in Florida, but
No, it's not. It's not the same show. It's not the same show.
it has a dragon at least. It has a dragon
It's not the same show. It's not on the water. It's on a stage.
surrounded by water.
Okay,
It's an amphitheater. So yeah, it is a actual amphitheater. Like, okay, it is not the same experience. I will, to that point, it is not the same experience because you're literally sitting down and it's far away. Not the same exact. Yeah, they don't have like the water projection up things and down. Okay, it is different in that sense. It had both had the dragons. The dragon is still there. It's not the same dragon though. It's like, this is where I'm wondering if that's what they're gonna do. Is it's gonna be not the giant like full dragon, or if it's just gonna be a head that pops up out of. So I don't know.
like one of those blow up heads, like how they have like Jack Skellington, where he's kind of like a blow up head.
No, no, like it'll still like look like the head, but if I remember right, like it's in like it's basically all the infrastructure in it is covered. Like you're not seeing the full body of a dragon, and then the water projections come up, so all you're seeing is like a face spit the fire and do all the things. So it's not going to be big sexy where it's, the full thing comes out and you see this massive awesomeness of metal and fire. All I've read though is that the dragon I call Big Sexy, for those who don't know, Big Sexy will not be returning. They have made modifications to it. So I'm interested to see how they do it. And I even got a little bit of a preview the other day when I was at the park that they were doing some testing of some of the special effects too. So I do believe they've added more to it. I have faith that they will do a good job because they always seem to, impress in that category. But I wonder if it will be the same without Big Sexy.
It won't. It won't be the same. I can tell you that for sure, because that's the best part.
Yeah, let me, I guess, rephrase it as like the same like feeling of it. Like you're saying it's your favorite show. Will you still feel that after the fact with the new show?
It's gonna be a different show because obviously, and especially if they're like, okay, we got to cancel this, and they're like, well, let's reinvent and come up with something. They had a whole year to come up with new ideas, or how are we going to change all? I'm sure it's going to be a very different show. Like it'll be the same concept and like the way they do it, but it might be a completely different show. Like in all regards, right? With the animation that they use, with the music that they use, it might not be the same thing, which could be a good thing or maybe not a good thing. There's always it's not the same. So there's always that nostalgic, like, oh, but it's not the thing that I love. So I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it until I see it, to be honest. So it's just a matter of when May comes around, and at some point, if I end up going to the park around that time, getting a chance to see it and say, okay, well, that was cool or that was a letdown. We'll find out. But that was like the coolest part was like this big dragon comes out and then it like blows out fire and you feel it and you feel the heat and I'm like they have to go and burn the dragon and now we're here and ugh.
An unfortunate side effect of low operating costs during the pandemic were some of the things did not get as much maintenance as they needed to, for sure.
I want to know whose fault is it.
Or was it just its time?
No, it's someone somewhere is responsible for that happening, whether it's negligence or lack of planning or operation, I don't care what it is. There's a person responsible for that, and now we can't have a dragon.
Courtesy of Bob Chapek, in my opinion. I digress to, it's, they're not shying away from the pyrotechnics though, because World of Color 1 has big fire pyrotechnics, and at Disney World They call it the steampunk dragon.
Is that the one during the parade?
Yeah, it's the one during the parade, and like I remember that like it's 10 feet less. Oh, like however many close we are to this dragon, the thing is spitting fire like to the point where I'm like, I feel like I'm in a volcano right now. It's Florida and it feels great somehow. Getting fire blown at me. It was wintertime, FYI, so it was a little cold. Yeah, yeah, not Florida summer like that would feel it, but they do. I don't think the pyrotechnics are completely out of it. My only worry was like where they won't re-add the pyrotechnics was I think they had concern with the is it still called Tom Sawyer Island catching on fire. So maybe that was a realization, but I don't know. We'll see. Fantasmic 2.0, the way of the future.
I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. I'm like, you told me it was coming back and I was so excited. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited." And then you're like, "But the dragon's not coming back." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know how I feel about this."
No, not at all. You know what they may do is they may incorporate one of your favorite features about Disney parks.
The fireworks?
Magic bands. I intentionally wore my magic bands to this episode.
Stop talking about Are you wearing 2 magic bands right now?
Yeah.
Bands, as in multiple.
I got one for free and I got the other one from the giveaway, so two. They're gonna make you buy a magic band.
Oh, are you talking about how, like, your magic band lights up during World of Color? Is that what you're talking about? That's how they're gonna incorporate it in Fantasmic?
It's cheesy.
So dumb. It's so dumb.
Like they do in stadiums, because that's what I think they're trying to do with it.
It's unnecessary and does not enhance. It's so unnecessary. It's beyond unnecessary.
2 recordings later, the opinion has not changed. Dang, thought I could try. I'm sorry, folks who develop Disney magic bands. I've done my best.
Good luck. I already told you what would change my opinion. I already told you what would change my opinion. And not even change my opinion. It's like I would use it for these things and that's it. And unless like it was just a I can't get around without it. Like but also Disneyland parks it doesn't make sense. Anyway, I digress. Entertainment and shows. Fantasmic is a fantastic show, if I say so myself. I'm excited to see what they do because I do think there's opportunity for reinvention, which is also good because they can spice it up from what they've been doing for whatever it's been like 10 years, kind of the same show, as far as like the details of like what's included in the projections and all the other stuff. I hope they keep the Pirates of the Caribbean thing because I think that's pretty cool. That's one of my favorite parts of the show.
I put that in.
That as well as the dragon. Because I think that the dragon is at that end culmination of the whole entire story that they're telling in Fantasmic. That's why I think it's so great.
Yeah, and I actually they did the renovations on both ships. The pirate ship, the Columbia, I think it's called. What's the other one called? The white one, the Mark Twain. Yes, so they did the renovations on the Columbia and the Mark Twain, taking opportunity of the downtime from the show. So I wonder if the renovations were to incorporate some more features on it during the show as well too.
I mean, I don't think the renovations have anything to do with that. Like, I think it's just time to renovate and they can do it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They take advantage of this time when they don't need it for the shows now too. Like they do with all things. Like slow season, of course, they renovate a lot. But I mean, the Mark Twain, the Columbia were down for a good minute. I think the Columbia is still down. But let me ask you too, like your thoughts on Plan Bs of the shows, because each show always has a Plan B. Like when something doesn't go right, cut scene and then enter Plan B. Like fireworks, for example. Like when given high wind warning, and then they got to go to Plan B of the show. Even the other entertainment too. Like everything always has a Plan B when something doesn't work. Like the most notable talked about recently is like on the rides itself. What is his name? Ben Solo. Hold on. Oh my god.
Just call him Ben Solo.
Just call him Ben Solo. Why am I totally brain farting?
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. Oh my god. If you knew that for more than like the entire time I'm struggling here. Okay. So even on the rides where the Kylo Ren scene is one of the ones I see most talked about, like a feature of the ride that, a part of their entertainment, if you will, doesn't work, cut to Plan B. But more so talking on the entertainment, like the fireworks, like the Main Street projection one, I think is the one I want to get the most out of because I have thoughts on it. Because especially in the slow season when they don't do fireworks and it's just a Plan B, like it's cool. But if I was there for first time thinking I'm going to go see some Disney fireworks and I'm stuck watching projections on these buildings on Main Street. Thoughts?
Are you asking what do I feel about the fact that they have a plan B, or what I feel about their plan B?
Is there a better, like, when there's no fireworks shows, is there a better way to do it than just projecting on to those buildings?
Well, if there was, I don't know what it is. I think it's great that they do have those plans. And I've seen them sometimes, like, the parade gets canceled. Sometimes they'll have, like, a cavalcade, like, at a different time because if it's, like, the wind or the weather and it's, like, a safety issue, they'll try to do something when they have to cancel that stuff so that it's not, like, a complete loss for, especially because, again, right, like, we might be going a couple of times throughout the year or for you for the month, but most of these people who are spending all this money coming for their first time, like, this is their only experience, so I think it's great that they have some semblance of entertainment. What I will say is I have no problem with fireworks every night. And also there are days that I have gone and they are non-firework nights and it's kind of a bummer. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, I've seen the projection show because I've watched the fireworks show, or like I've seen this, but that's me going multiple times. If I'm going for the first time and there's no fireworks, is my preference to see the fireworks? Absolutely. But if they're not there, I think that I remember the first time I saw the projection show was just a projection show. I believe most of the time it's the same projections that are during the fireworks show. They just have the sounds and it's the focal point is on the projection. And so I just think it's so cool. And I thought it was really awesome the first time I saw that at least they had something. So I don't necessarily think I have a problem with it. And I do have a problem with the fact that there aren't fireworks every day.
Yeah, hmm.
Did you think I was going to be more passionate and opinionated about this?
I somehow thought so. I somehow thought so.
I could sense your disappointment.
I think once the Phantasmic comes back to that, in my thought, it won't be such a big deal because at least, no matter what, you're gonna get the Phantasmic. But for those folks, like, it's just the projections that you're gonna get. Like, I don't know. I feel like they could do more in the sky with the laser projections and things. Make them. I mean, we've gotten a little bit further in technology. Like, if we cannot launch fireworks, there's other ways to do light shows and projection. The drones,
The drones.
but even with the high winds, the drones still might not be able to go. Yeah, that, I mean, even the rain as well too. I'm sure there's some. I mean, I feel like they're smart enough to come up with ways.
But, like, I don't know what that would look like or be like.
Leave it in the comments, folks, how disappointed you are that this is the one topic she's not passionate about.
I'm sorry you're disappointed that I'm not more heated about this. And the reason I'm not more heated about this is because it is purely a personal selfish preference. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay. I will say I'm very passionate about fireworks, okay?
So I suppose I should have stated it with, like, the, like, as of lately, it seems like they're relying a lot on the Plan B and doing less of the fireworks shows. And whether it be a cost saving feature or it's, really the safety, if it is the safety by, justified. But if it's just simply a cost saving feature of, like, we're not going to do fireworks and not doing it a lot.
It's not that I'm disappointed because what you're asking me about is you're asking me about the plan B, okay? And so I'm like, I think it's great. But if you were just to not even talk about the fact that they have these plan Bs and whatever, and it's like they don't do fireworks every day. What's your opinion? That's in my mind, that's a different question and elicits a different answer.
Then that Plan B, like, that's where it's like, if especially in the off season when fireworks are expensive, like, fair, but you're paying a lot to get in those parks. And if we're saving costs by just doing it on weekends throughout the year, and, like, say for example, this is the only time of year that family, like, say it's January, this is the only time of year that this family can afford to come out here, and they come out here, and for a cost saving feature, you're going to say no fireworks when, let's say there is no high winds, there is no rain, and you're going to stick to this Plan B, and then the Plan B is just the building projections. That's where I guess I'm going. Was like, I think they're over relying on it, assuming that it's just for cost. This is my assumption. They're assuming they're just doing it for cost saving features, not necessarily for the safety. Like, they'll tell you the safety because, like any good company, they're not going to show their hand. But, like, it's more so I definitely noticed post 2020.
Yes. I would agree that it's definitely less than after the pandemic. But I think that there were also times before that they had gaps where they weren't doing fireworks every night. but I don't think many nights. I think it was just like certain blocks of time. It's an upset. I think maybe I'm trying not to be as upset about it because I don't want to jinx like my next Disney visit and hope there's fireworks because I love the fireworks. I was telling someone I said, I had driven out for like a week and one of my friends like, "Oh, I'm free this." I was like, "No, I'm going to Disneyland that night." And or it wasn't that I was going, it was they wanted to like leave the park early or something. I said, "No, I want to see the fireworks." And they're like, "But you could like, oh, like whatever." And then I pushed and I pushed and I pushed and then the fireworks got canceled and I was so sad. Cuz I was there like all day and I was like, "Okay, we'll wait for the fireworks and then we'll leave like right after." So I stayed in the park. I could have left like 2 hours before to meet my friend. I was like, "I'll meet you up after the fireworks show." And I stay and it's like 9, 9:15. Then eventually they canceled it and I was really upset. But like, cause she's like, "Why is it such a big deal?" I said, "Because I haven't seen fireworks in like almost a year and I go once a month."
Is there a spot outside of the Main Street area? So outside of Main Street area, is there a spot in, let's say, Adventureland, Tomorrowland, is there another spot outside of the parks that you've watched the fireworks that you say is not to say just as good of experience? You know, you're not seeing the castle, but is there another spot in the parks that you go to watch the fireworks that is an experience of itself on its own? And I'll tell you why in a second why I'm leading there.
Absolutely not.
Nope.
I've seen them in different spots. I've seen them. So let me clarify. There have been 2 spots in the park that I've been in, mainly specifically because that was just because where we had been and I was with people and we couldn't get over in time. But I know I'm gonna go see the fireworks. Like I go and I set myself up on Main Street because I want to watch the fireworks in front of the castle. That's a preference, by the way. That's not to say that's the best place to see them or anything like that. Some people really like watching them from It's a Small World, especially because it's not as crowded. And you want to watch the fireworks show and like the music is enhanced there too. I have been in Galaxy's Edge and seen them. It's pretty cool still. Like there's no place in the park that it's not gonna be cool to see the fireworks. It just depends on if you want the full immersion of, like, the projections on the castle and the side. If you are at the Rivers of America, and I have seen it from there one time because we watched Fantasmic and there wasn't enough time between because there's, like, a 10-minute gap between when Fantasmic ends and the fireworks show starts. At least there was, like, in the like, when it was set up that way. And I have seen it from there, and they do the same projections, like, on the water with the fireworks show, at the time they did at least, and then you see the fireworks. So they're still really great, and they're still cool experiences. So it's not like, "Oh, you have to be on Main Street." I personally prefer that you're not because then there's less people. You don't have to be in front of the castle. My preference is the castle because I walk around Disneyland in a tiara and I spend my time sitting next to the castle. Like that's a preference thing, but it's not necessarily an arguable. It's not arguable enough to say it's the best spot.
Hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, when you go to the Disney parks, like when you think like I'm gonna go watch the fireworks, straight off the get, like the first thing you think of is like watching them in front of the castle. You want to see the castle, you see the fireworks. It's just standard. The reason I was asking that because you did see it from Galaxy's Edge because I've seen a lot lately people or it being promoted like go watch the fireworks from Galaxy's Edge. Like they'll have the music in there now, or like maybe even in their own way of doing it. But like the biggest thing I've seen promoted lately was go watch the fireworks from Galaxy's Edge. So I was thinking about doing that on my next visit if they had fireworks. So if any of you have seen it from Galaxy's Edge and can recommend it, please let us know. Yeah, that was where I was leading with that because I've seen it from Adventureland to like the Rivers of America. I haven't done. I didn't know you can go to Small World and watch it. To be honest, but like normally trying to get kitty cornered in the park, like because I'm not going to be I'm not going to go out of my way to like find a spot and park it unless it's the Halloween time. That's the only time of year where I'm like, I will stand here till my knee will shatter until I see that show.
It's not that difficult. If you're by yourself, it's not that difficult to squeeze in, like, in the middle of Main Street. There's a lot of dead space between people. If you're by yourself, if you're with a big group or, like, you're with a family, like, you might wanna, like, squat early, but, like, I'll go, like, 10, 15 minutes before fireworks, and I'll just kinda squeeze in between. Also, you have to be comfortable, like, crowd surfing in between people because there's just so much dead space and people not pay because people go in, they're like, "I don't go in this personal space," or they have strollers or whatever. So there's a lot of there's actually like people aren't like sardines down Main Street.
Yeah, well, I also haven't really tried. Well, and like the thing for me too is like if I go do that and I see like a family trying to get like a good spot, I will happily give up that spot because how often I go, like I'll go watch another time. Like in my head, I think this might be their only time experiencing this. Like, especially if they have little kids and like they're standing behind me, I'm totally gonna be like, you guys move up. Like I will, you if you get the better view, like fine by me. I will totally give up. And that's usually what ends up happening to me is like, if I do decide I want to go watch the show, I'll see like the other little kids and like they're trying to like, you know, go around like the big tall people standing in front of them, and I'm like, here, like I almost sometimes end up helping them find a better spot too, because to me, like, yeah, if I have another opportunity to go see a fireworks show, then so be it. But this, like in my head, that might be that person's only time getting to experience that. Only with like the little kids and the families though. If it's like grown people, like no, you're on your own. Like I found my spot. Yeah, yeah. If you're pushing around me, it's no, get back there. Even as a shorter person, it's not hard for you to find a spot.
So hard. It's no, it's hard because it's not hard for me to squeeze in between people, okay? Like, but I mean, like I said, it's really if you're by yourself, it's pretty easy because it's just like there's like when I say dead space, I don't mean like space for a family or for like 3 or 4 people. I mean like I can squeeze in between people because there's extra room. They're not like scrunched together. It's like one person can squeeze in. But it sucks being short because like then you have all these tall people in front of you and it kind of obstructs and then there's like their head.
Well, yeah,
So you don't really see you can still see the fireworks fine because 'cause they're up in the sky, but then, like, you don't get the full, like, projections on the castle either. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's cool. I was like, I love fireworks. I go on with fireworks all day. I think we could probably talk for 30, 40 minutes on fireworks themselves, like, all the different fireworks. Maybe we'll save finishing our conversation about fireworks for a whole show about the fireworks because there's so many different fireworks show. Maybe like we'll highlight our favorites and stuff like that. So we've covered fireworks, we've covered World of Color, Fantasmic, and our disgruntled opinions about No Dragon
bring bring back Big Sexy, please.
Parade.
What about him?
They're entertaining.
They're entertaining, yes.
Do you what are your thoughts on parades? Do you love them, hate them, leave them?
Oh, just okay. I loved him as a kid. Again, like it was part of that wow factor. I like the most recent one. Is it Wish? What is that one? No. What's the Magic Happens? Okay, that was a good one. But other than Electric Light Parade, which that's more of a nostalgia thing for me as a my favorite. Even got the Magic Band for it. Um, like I personally do not go out of my way for parades. Like when my son was little, I went on my way to go see him almost to the point where at Magic Kingdom in Florida, we were on one side of the park in Tomorrowland, and I carried this 5, 6 year old kid on my shoulders running full speed from one end of the park to the other to catch whatever parade was going on in their Frontierland area. Greatest cardio I've ever got in my life for a parade. But as an adult, it's not just for me. It's not really my thing. Like I don't go out of my way.
Like you don't go out of your way to like go find a spot and squat or like to see it at all.
I don't even like to go find a spot and squat. Like I will occasionally do a technique where when the showtime is happening, I will walk the paths and kind of watch it as I go, but I won't stay and watch it. Like I won't sit and watch it, but especially, when it's going around like Main Street while everybody else is sitting down, I'm the person, walking on the side path, not stopping. Please do not stop in the middle of the walking lane. You know who you are out there, especially with the strollers. Like don't stop, take a video, don't record it. You could still enjoy, I guess if you're tall enough to see over the people standing, you can still enjoy the parade walking by it and hearing the music. Because like as we've mentioned, like if the parade is happening in your area, you are also hearing the music go, and it's kind of following with you, almost till like you get an extended version of the parade. But I don't go pop a squad. I don't find a spot to go watch the shows. The only time I've ever done that recently was it was the dining package where they sat you right up in the middle of Main Street from whatever. Yeah, what is it? The corner? Is it the Jolly Holiday?
called the Jolly Holiday Dining Package,
The Jolly Holiday dining pack. It was great too. I mean, literally getting to sit up right up front.
but it's at the Plaza, and the Plaza Inn is where it is.
Yeah. Oh yes. So at the Plaza. Yeah, you get the food there, and then they sit you right up on Main Street. And it was funny, the guest that I had with me at the time, it was a friend of my son's. The dancer actually interacted with her, and she was not expecting it, to the point where she got startled and fell backwards into everybody. And like the cast member actually was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," but then had to keep going as the show went. So that was, I mean, it's a cool experience, especially if the kids like they love interacting with the kids.
Right, because we're talking from two different perspectives. The perspective of you're taking your family, you want to go find a good spot. And I will say, I don't think there's many bad spots unless it's like in your head preference when it comes to watching the parades, because it's not like there are tons of people like, yeah, maybe you want to be like on the very front. I think what constitutes a good spot or a bad spot to watch the parade at Disneyland, at least, because I'm not sure about Disney World, is the idea of what you want to record and like your recording view. Because there's only 2, 3, depending what area you're in, there's only 2, 3 layers of people in front or behind, and the kids are in the front. And it's like you don't need to be like your line of sight is still very good no matter what. Like obviously if you have young little kids, you want them to be towards the front because you don't want tall people behind them. But if you're, a taller person, it doesn't obstruct as much. And for me, I every once in a while, it depends on what I'm in the mood for. I'm like, "Oh, I'm kind of in the mood to sit and watch the parade," then I will. But I mean, I'll definitely try to get like a good angle and spot when it's a new like if it's like if they're changing the seasons or if they're introducing a new parade, then I will do that. I like to do what you do where I'm just like walking along with it and just enjoying it. I just think it's fun, and I love watching how the kids interact and like how excited they get. Like, if you're sitting and like there's like some kids next to you and you're just like they're just like so excited and they're like waving and like interacting with the characters, and it's just fun to watch because I think that's what I love more. Like, yes, I experience the Disney magic too, but like I love to just like watch people enjoying life. So you really get to do that when you're at Disneyland and see these kids and even adults and stuff like that. Like it's just like I love the marching band, right? So one time I go, I'm doing a day trip, and I was just like in a weird emotional spot, and like I wasn't like feeling so hot, like I was kind of like down, not like in a like depressive way, but I was like, it was still like, oh, I'm at Disney, and I had just gotten there, and it wasn't one of my best days, and the band was playing, and there's this little kid, and he's just dancing and singing. He's maybe 2, and he's dancing and singing in the middle, and it was like I think it was like the Lion King medley or something like that, and he was just having so much fun and like really getting into it, and then like his dad was too, and I was like, this is amazing, and like my whole mood changed. My whole mood changed. I was like, and I stopped them and I was like, I just want to tell, and I told a little boy, I'm like, thank you for like being free and dancing. I was like, it really made my day. Like I was sad and now I'm happy because I watched you dance. Like, and he got so excited about it, and like that's like the entertainment is interactive. It's not just like, oh, I'm going and I'm watching this show. Like feel like I'm a part of it. Obviously, if you're sitting and watching Fantasmic or you're sitting watching the fireworks, you're watching a show. But even the parade, I would say, is not like watching a show. It's interactive because sometimes you have the characters walking and they're in like they're waving at you and they like come and talk to you and interact with you. And even if they're on a float, they're like waving at you. So it's a lot of that entertainment is really interactive. Like the Dapper Dan sometimes like will be interactive with the crowd around them. The band is can be as well. Like they wave at you and like you're dancing around as they're singing. So I just think it's part of the whole, again, it goes back to the whole experience of it all.
You do make a good point. Like in Disneyland, for sure, you're not gonna have like so many people in front of you, because they do an awesome job with crowd control. Like seeing, they're moving hordes of people and then keeping them in these isolated spots. So yeah, like you might have like maybe 3 rows of folks at the most too. And then also, yeah, all of the folks moving around too, like the folks stopping you, saying like, wait, 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 get the floats, go, continuing to let the park operations go as a parade's going as well too. And then the other point of the interaction and the shows as well too is like, so I don't know if the current Lion King show did it, but I know like a memory of mine from Florida is like when the music was going, like they got the little kids up and they were dancing around with all the different animals, like singing, singing like whatever Lion King song was going on at the time with the drums and everything, and like seeing them get into it as well. And then this is what I was gonna like segue into as far as like next after parades was the live shows like that with Lion King. I know Disney World has a lot of them, and they have a lot of great ones. Personally, one of my favorites is the Indiana Jones experience where they do like the live action stunts and everything. And where I think, and I hope that Disneyland comes back with this, is adding more shows like that back into those parks where I know they have like the Disney, was it Disney Junior Dance Club for a little bit. They had the thing outside of the Tomorrowland where they had like a little dance party there as well for the kids. And then obviously we talked about the Lion King show going away. They brought back, or they brought in the Avengers, the Captain America one for like a very limited time.
When?
No, no, I'm talking about last year.
Oh, when they had it for like a month and I never got to see it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they had this great show. They had this great show here, and it went away after like after a month.
Oh, yeah, because we've just really, other than World of Color, we've only really discussed entertainment at Disneyland and not so much the entertainment at DCA. And we'll do a separate one when we focus on the entertainment at Walt Disney World.
Aside from like they do have like the performances in Galaxy's Edge, like we talked about previously with Stormtroopers, where like I said, you're immersed into that experience. Like that whole place is a show, a production, and like the Stormtroopers getting engaged. I don't know. I know when it first opened, they did it where outside the evil area, First Order section where it's got the ship there. Like they had that thing with like Kylo Ren and the stormtroopers coming out. I haven't seen that in a good minute where they have that, and they do other things as well too. But I think they need more of those live performances. And again, previously discussed, post 2020, they've been struggling to get actors. They've been struggling to get performers who can do that, and that's probably why the Captain America one didn't last so long.
Yeah, because if it was a hit and it was and they had the staffing, there's no reason not to keep it.
It would have stayed in that area for sure. So maybe, the initial hype, everybody went and saw it, but maybe it wasn't good enough where, I mean, I personally thought it was phenomenal. Maybe because they made a reference to my hometown but I thought it was phenomenal. I thought that could have kept going, but like it disappeared. And I know they had like the Frozen thing in there, I think a couple years back too. Saw that, and that was great.
Well, that was but that was also pre-COVID. So to your point about like staffing, it has to be because other than that, I don't believe they've had anything at the Hyperion since 2020.
Other than Captain America, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, because it was there for what, 2 months?
Yeah, it was just the summer months, I think, and then it went away. And it could be, yeah, they're probably competing with Hollywood productions, things outside of Disney to keep these performers here too. I'm sure there's a multitude of factors, but what I'm kind of like driving at this with is when I go to Disney World, some of those live performances, like I will go out of my way. And for anybody going to Disney World soon, it's not necessarily a Disney performance. In Disney Springs, they do a Cirque du Soleil out there, and it's called Drawn to Life. And I will tell you that is probably the greatest production of anything I've ever seen in my life. Where I was so skeptical going to this at first. Like we did a family trip and we're like, oh my God, I'm taking time away from the parks to go see this thing. I was, there was a tear drawn to my eye by the end of this. It is such a good performance. It's a story involved with it too. And seeing all the circus acts to the point where like I know people who've gone back multiple times. It's not cheap. I will say that it is not cheap, but hoping they bring something like that to our downtown Disney here. Because a little fun fact for everybody, they bring the parades that start off at Disneyland. They're tested at Disneyland and then they bring them to Disney World. So anything you usually see that happens at Disneyland parade wise and show wise, not the live shows like we're talking about now, but like anything parade wise, a lot of that is tested at Disneyland first before brought over to Disney World. Fun little tidbit.
because it's the better park. It's the better park. Yep. I said what I said.
Boom goes the bed.
And we're talking Disneyland to Magic Kingdom, not necessarily like the scope of Walt Disney World to like the Disneyland parks, which is a whole other conversation that we're gonna have later, and we're gonna bring in some fun guests to help stir the pot a little bit. And there's so many different things. Like we could really take most of these topics and really really dig into them, which we probably will do based on what you listeners give us your feedback on, whether it's in the comments or DMing us on your opinions, what your favorite entertainment is. Are you an entertainment person? The thing I do like about all of the entertainment is not just I love entertainment because I do. Because so for me it's a preference, and I have friends who don't care for it at all. They're like, I don't care. Like, they don't like going to Disney with me because they're ride people. And like, I get really annoyed when we go to Disneyland together because they're like all about the rides, and I'm all about like, when's the band and whatever. And they're like, just looking at me like, are we done yet? Like, can we go? So I get it. It's not for everyone. Just to summarize my reasonings is I think it adds to the experience. And what's so great about it is that it's there and you don't necessarily need to partake of it, and it doesn't get in the way of anything else. Because that's the other thing. A lot of these entertainment things that are happening throughout the park are only happening in a certain section, so it doesn't disrupt anything happening anywhere else in the park. So if the Dapper Dans are by the fire station, you really don't hear them outside of that. Even if you're on Main Street, you have no idea that they're there. The band, if they're at Sleeping Beauty's castle, you could be halfway through Main Street and not even realize that they're there, unless like you can see them from afar. But like it doesn't disrupt wherever you are and whatever you're doing. If you're on Main Street and the band is like walking down, and they're gonna pass by you and everything like that, and that's always fun to walk with the band. And Fantasmic is only occurring in that certain section area. There is a little bit of the traffic issue, like in that area of the park. Fireworks for sure just kind of shuts down that whole middle part of the park, but all the other sides are fine. If you don't be in Fantasyland during the fireworks, because you're just not going to be able to go on half. It's that it's there and it's happening in its section, and it's there for those who want to enjoy it. And I think you should take advantage of that, especially if you do like entertainment like that. But also, it evens out the scope of activity in the parks, right? Like if you're ride people and you're like, great, the ride for Space Mountain is only 40 minutes instead of 80 minutes because the parade's going on right now. So take advantage of those things, but plan ahead, because if it's during parade or fireworks, maybe not fireworks, but if it's during a parade, they shut down like certain walk pathways. So you're going to like get stuck. So plan ahead if you're going to try to go to a ride that's in a different area of the park when they're getting ready for parades. But other than that, that's the cool part about the entertainment is number one, it's magical and it's creating this experience and you can be a part of it and interactive with it, but also it occurs outside of the park. It doesn't stop everything in the park, right? Like how other places are like, okay, it's time for this thing now, and it stops everything going on in the park, minus like certain areas during the parade. We'll say that. But in general, like it's not stopping the activity of everything else in the park. And for those people who want to partake and participate, great. And then it's also a great opportunity for people who like, oh, I want a shorter line and I don't really care about seeing the parade.
If you are not trying to watch the parade in Disneyland, do by all means necessary avoid the Matterhorn area by Small World if you are trying to get to other areas of the park and the parade is happening. I cannot count on my hands how many times I've been stuck. Like right where the turkey legs are, because it's one way and one way only.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst spot.
They got it split to like a fork in the road because there's the shop like in the middle, and then you got the two pathways and they block it off. So like if you accidentally end up there, you are stuck until the parade has passed. And I've done that at least every time in the last couple of times I've been to the park. So that is like, yes, one of the like that's where I was like, as you were saying, like there are certain areas that get stopped. In my head it just clicked. I was like, every time the parade's happening, I for some reason think it's a good idea to go over there, and then I'm stuck and I'm just kind of sitting there, and then I have to watch the parade, which I mean, not complaining, but it's still good.
Yeah. You like the live entertainment. Have you gone to the Royal Theater and seen any of those shows?
not as of lately, but one of the live entertainments I have grown to enjoy, actually not even grown to enjoy, that I love a lot lately, is the Carthay Circle Band.
Yes.
When they come out in the car, they go to the center of Carthay Circle, and yeah, because the whole point of Carthay Circle and that front end of the park is old Hollywood feel, like old Hollywood when Walt verse came to Hollywood, and I feel like that was like the one key that was missing from like that area of the park. Like I don't feel like I'm fully immersed in like the old Hollywood feel till I see them coming down the street with the swing band, musicians playing, and then the singer, and then they sit there. I will go to the Starbucks, go grab a coffee or a drink, whatever it may be, and then I'll just sit out in one of the benches and just wait for them to come by, and then start playing the music, see the trolleys go by. Even like riding the trolley is fun too. Don't undersell that one. But yeah, that band has been my like joy as of late, just sitting there. Or you go to Carthay Circle, sit outside and watch them too, with a nice old fashioned too. They have some really good old fashions for those who love those drinks. Even have you been a lot like a kind of a hidden gem too there, because we talked a lot about Disneyland shows, and California Adventure over by Monsters Inc. A lot of stuff happens at that theater that I don't think people are even aware of. Like they do a lot of good shows there. At that Christmas time, they had this really good performance. It was a Diwali show. So they brought in an outside production team, like a production dance team that did a dance number that tells like the story of Diwali.
That was there, not on the isn't it usually, like, over like, at the pier?
No, this I think they've done it there too, but times I've seen it was over back by Monsters Inc. in the backstage there.
Yeah, I always wondered what they used that stage for. Maybe we should do a full separate episode on, like, entertainment at DCA because I feel like we just, like, really hammer the Disneyland entertainment. There's so much. So I look at the entertainment section, like, the first thing I do when I get to the park, especially, like, at season change. And I look to see, like, what all the times are, just so I'm aware, not like I don't, like, set my day by it, but just so I'm aware of, like, what times, like, whenever and some of them, like, the bands and I don't think I've ever, like, seen anything on there, but I also might have more been paying attention diligently to that kinda stuff post-COVID. Again, that's just the lack of entertainment that they would have had before, 'cause I don't think that prior to that, I was, like, super hardcore on the app when I'm looking up everything.
Would you consider the art of animation entertainment, like a show? Turtle Crush, I would.
Oh, yeah. Talk.
Yeah, Turtle Crush, Turtle Talks, and then I at least consider the art of animation show because you're also watching. I mean, you're interactive with it too.
Yeah. Well, and there's also the Philharmonic.
Oh, how did we miss? Yes, Philharmonic.
See? Entertainment, but not shows. Entertainment, but not shows, technically.
Yeah, I didn't even. Thinking in my head, I didn't think there was that much there. There's more than I'm thinking right now.
Oh, there's so much. There's so much. I think we need a whole separate episode on, like, DCA entertainment. I think there's more entertainment at California Adventure than there is at Disneyland, but there's bigger entertainment at Disneyland than there is at California Adventure.
I can agree with that.
It's almost like there's more going on, but there's more, like, little stuff going on where there's always kinda something to watch at California Adventure. You could probably argue the same thing at Disneyland, but it's like you have the marching band and you have the Dapper Dans and you have the parade. And I know there's, like, smaller parade-esque things at, like, DCA. Do have, like, a parade down, they have, like, the army guys,
Yeah, now thinking on that, yeah.
and then, like, during Festival of Holidays, they have, like, the drummer boys and, like, they have tons Feliz Navidad, that show, and then during the different times, like the Lunar New Year, they have that show as well.
Yeah, there really is a lot of California, like the Marvel side of it, like we've talked about.
So there's so many things that are happening in DCA, I think, from an entertainment standpoint, but they're on a smaller scale where it's like, "Oh, this thing is going on," versus there's not necessarily as many things going on at Disneyland, but they're bigger and grander.
Yeah,
What we really wanted to get across this episode is just a highlight reel of entertainment at Disneyland. And again, another thing that sets the park apart from other amusement parks or places is that the idea of not only that there is entertainment and stuff, but that it's immersive and it's magical and it's themed and it's fun and it's there. And for those of you who are thinking about trips or planning trips with your families, don't forget to look at that part of the app where they have a list of the entertainment. You'll want to make sure there are certain things that you might not want to miss, especially if younger kids, things that they'll enjoy as well. And things you'll accidentally come across like just as you're walking around the parks too. But we would love to hear from all of you on what your favorite entertainment is. If you have any topic suggestions in general or things you want us to talk more about when it comes to Disney entertainment. Yes, we will discuss the DCA entertainment on future episodes. But again, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a fresh episode. And if you're not already following us on Instagram, you can follow us at Magic Key Chats. Send in your topic suggestions, join in on the conversation by DMing us on our Instagram or sending us an email at magickeychats@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us on another magical episode of Magic Key Chats. And until next time, may all your dreams come true.